Hello, I'm Ro Randall. I'm a psychotherapist and I've been working on climate issues for around 15 years, mainly with community groups and activists. And this is the first in a series of short videos where I'm going to be talking about how people respond emotionally to the very difficult news that climate change is, the kinds of things that we all go through when we truly let the issue into our hearts, and the kinds of defences that some people use because the news about climate is just too difficult to allow yourself to take in. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is a way of defending yourself which psychoanalysis calls disavowal, and which over the last 15 years I've noticed has been very prevalent amongst the population in general. So some years ago I was in the office of somebody who worked on sustainability, and we were chatting about the fact that Arctic sea ice was melting at rates much higher than had been expected. And this was a slightly disturbing conversation to both of us, I think. And she broke the conversation off because her phone rang, and she said, "Just excuse me while I take the phone." And she became very animated in the phone call, talking to somebody about booking the flights to California. And what was very apparent was how utterly split these two things were in her mind. On the one hand was her sophisticated knowledge about climate change. On the other was an action which could only make it worse. And she didn't connect them at all. And this is the kind of split which psychoanalysis calls disavowal. It's a way of knowing and not knowing at the same time. Because we know from all the research that is done, the majority of the British population are fully aware of what climate change is. We also know that the majority of the British population don't feel that it's their responsibility. And by splitting your mind in this way, where there's one compartment where you know about climate change and begin to feel rather uncomfortable and rather upset about it, and there's another compartment where life just goes on as usual and you really don't let it impinge on that. So you don't take any political action, you carry on flying, you carry on just as you were. And this kind of defence is made worse by the fact that it's echoed in political life. So we have politicians who one day will talk about how proud they are of the 2008 Climate Change Act, and the next day will announce a new runway at Heathrow. And so we see it echoed all around us. We see it in car companies who crow about the new electric car they're developing, but up the level of manufacture, so they swamp the roads with more and more vehicles. And we see it in airlines who seem to magically believe that they're going to achieve net zero emissions. These are all ways in which disavowal is echoed. And so the ordinary person who's struggling with a subject which feels pretty scary if you let it in, is encouraged to disavow it, to keep the knowledge in one box and ordinary life in another. Recently, however, we've been seeing a lot more people becoming a lot more upset about climate change, something which is being referred to as climate anxiety. And that's what I'm going to talk about in the next video.